Scotch for Dummies.
For your thoughts.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
What is all this?
Hey,
Cheers.
Live on
cheers,
Thursday
everybody.
night.
Cheers to you.
Look at that. A little action on the camera. Hopefully everything's okay tonight. I'm trying some new
Yeah, I
stuff.
saw some clipping there.
I did see some
chopping
clipping there.
but we'll see
Hopefully
what
it's...
Obviously, things are new.
There's a lot of things going on, but Happy New Year.
It has
guys.
been a crazy year, crazy couple weeks getting everything ready.
Well, with the hholidays too, we had Christmas, we had New Year's, we had an Arctic blast that kind of froze us all out.
Boxing Day.
Boxing Day. There's another one that I'm skipping in there. In Scotland, it's I don't know what day it is. Somebody help me out there.
You mean the Burns night coming up?
Oh no, that one's coming up in a
that's
couple
coming
weeks.
up.
Yeah, we got to get
Yep,
rid of
yep.
that one. Yeah, but it's 4 of us and a whole new look.
A whole new
It only took 7 years, right?
7 years. Yeah.
Well, no, we've had 2 different bars. We've had 4 different people. Oh gosh, we haven't changed the 4 people. But,
No, we're
how
still
many
here.
different logos have we had?
I lost count.
How many different coins have we had? You know, across
yeah,
the
you
year?
see the coins down here? Isn't that cool?
Very nice.
I like it. Now I can
nice.
tell who's who.
Yeah. I wasn't sure.
By the way, I'm Sean tonight.
Oh, he's actually got the coins in front of the right people. That's nice.
I know. That's why you guys couldn't move. I'm like, no, you can't move. It's set.
Don't
Yeah.
be
Drew
moving
screwed that
around.
up.
We were talking earlier, like this was a mistake putting those 2 together, but what it is what it is.
We didn't choose it. It was chosen for us.
It's just him and I.
It's
So,
fine. It'll
what'd
be
you guys Christmas? When did you guys get anything cool for Christmas? Anything good?
I purchased a lot of whiskey on Scotch on whiskey auction.
Yes, you did.
So I got myself a lot of
Does
stuff.
that count if you were purchasing your own gifts?
Absolutely.
I feel like
it
that
does.
doesn't count.
At this
man.
age, it counts.
Fair enough.
Part
Fair
of
enough.
getting
Me.
older, you buy your own gifts.
I
It's like,
suppose.
Right.
it's easier.
It's all
Yeah,
right.
I made some purchases at the end of the year that counted as my gift, so I didn't get a Christmas gift really.
I got some whiskeys around Thanksgiving when I went with Mike down to the Bourbon Trail.
Yeah, you did a bourbon trail.
But
That's cool.
I did get a couple of different bottles. My niece got me a really cool bottle of whiskey from Texas. So can't complain.
What?
Wow.
What the heck?
Time out.
Wait.
Whoa.
All right.
That's a good way to start
That's
the
a
new
really
year.
nice way to
Matthew.
start it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
you.
We appreciate
Maller.
it.
Mal, what are you doing?
Appreciate it, bro.
Holy
great.
moly.
Cheers.
I'll drink to that.
I can't get drunk tonight.
We
dude.
should probably have something better if we're going to be toasting to stuff like that.
Oh, what do you have something better?
Drew said get this Johnny Walker
Why is this
out.
stuff? This stuff is making me mad. I
It's
think
making Drew mad because we're getting a bunch of...
it wasn't like this before. Now
Choppiness.
the Zoom is the only difference. We did the Zoom call earlier, so I think it might have been.
You think?
Yeah,
Drew thinks it's
Well-
the Zoom call.
because it's not switching back.
I can't do this.
Uh-oh, it's not switching back.
Oh, well, I guess it's me and Mark.
There it goes. All right, we're back.
I told you it was our show. We got this. Let's get into. We've got actually a pretty jam-packed night for our first show of 2023. So, I want to check out and say who's hot. You know,
Who's
hi to
all
everybody.
day.
Happy New Year. See what's going on with everyone out there in virtual land. We did have our pre-show with a few patrons. It's good to see them. We have kept those patron shows going over the break, so we've been seeing our patrons anyway. But
Last week we were in here.
let's see who we got on here.
Well, let me scroll up. Yes.
Okay, who's first? Oh, Bobby's got smoked for second. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
it was
already-
Wheelhouse
it's-
Whiskey. He got
Wheelhouse.
first
Yeah,
today.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
he did.
Nice.
Yep.
Tom's got company.
Steven and Steve and
Steven
and Steven.
You're the rabbit. Nice.
Oh
Good
yeah.
pull.
So actually, we have some Scotch in the news to talk about Johnny Walker as
We
well.
do.
Jimmy Jazz, Tom R, Bobby J, and Wesley. Wesley was commenting that he liked the new pro setup that we got.
Oh yeah, Wizzy D,
Was it Dave?
Blocklanger, Stuff for Work, Trev.
Hey, Zach's in there with a cheers to everyone.
I like George recognizes the jams.
Yeah.
I like them. I like when
I
Drew-
like the new jams.
I do
It was
too.
good.
Drew's got
Nice
good,
work,
good
Drew.
taste, man.
Martin's in there. Loch Ness. Oh, Bob Green.
Bob Green's starting with Boona 18. How about that chocolate?
That's a
goodness?
nice goodness.
Seems like a good way to start your year.
Greatness.
Oh, Bob H says he loves the new layout, Drew.
Bob, I don't believe Bob. I think he's just kidding. He's kidding.
How can he be kidding in all caps?
Yeah, you're right. He really does love it.
Well, yeah.
So, Chuck says the coins are a nice touch. Interestingly enough.
Don't show him the trick.
Don't go behind the curtain.
The video is already jacking up on me. It's making me really mad.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on this.
It is what it is. It's always something.
It
always
figures
something.
that
Reboot after Zoom, I guess.
I don't know.
DB, she's in. Cohen.
So
yeah.
what was cool about
Josh Joel.
Matthew's super chat though is we got our first Molly of the year.
That's our first Molly of the year.
Yep. It makes me want to have one to Molly girl.
Cheers to Molly.
Miss her.
Thanks, you, Mal.
Do we need
Miss
to
the Molly.
Add a shadow to that? Does shadow like howl like that? I know Shadow barks, but
Shadow barks a lot.
The new dog barks a lot.
well, yeah, but does she do that? Does she do that kind of singing?
It's not cute. It's more like I should go someplace where the dog is not. Drew found out.
Yeah, the other night, Brandon and I were going out for a walk with Scotty, and all of a sudden, whoa, easy.
Shadow's a little more.
She's working on commands.
Okay.
We're getting there. But she's a 100-pound fluff ball, and
She's just got to calm down a little bit.
She is.
She'll be fine.
It'll be all
settle
good.
in.
So, 2023.
Oh, God.
2023.
I guess Molly hasn't barked yet.
That's a really good super chat number there. We see the chat
take
first.
that.
It hasn't actually
There's
hit
a
on
20-second delay, right?
Yeah.
Boy, that
So,
video is just.
It's driving me absolutely bonkers. I got to quit looking at it.
Yeah,
'cause
quit looking at me.
It's not even the stream quality. It's excellent. It's just something to do with this video setup. But you know what? I digress. It's not the point of the show.
Right.
Yep.
There she is for Bob H's.
Hey, Bobby! Thank you.
Cheers to Molly.
How many times are we going to see her tonight?
I don't know. We've seen her twice, and that's a really big one too. Thanks to Mallory.
Right?
Yeah, thank you, Mal. I really appreciate it.
Wow.
Let's go to the agenda so we can get on point here and figure out. We do have some things that we want to talk about, some things that are going to be fun to talk about.
Oh, it's right there.
There we go. And I think we got 2 minutes to spare.
We got 2 minutes
man.
to spare.
We're doing real
We're
good.
never on time.
So let's talk about that. So one of the things last year, guys, wow, busy year, King of the Hill. That was a fun series, and it pretty much filled up the entire year, right?
Damn near 9 months.
One thing we did not do last year very much, and I know we're going to talk a little bit more about this later on, but we didn't do a whole lot of reviews. We did a few, and one of the things we want to do too is kind of get back into better quality production, better quality sound, podcasting. We talked about that earlier. And so getting back to our roots, getting back to kind of a live show agenda, kind of something that you can count on each week.
Right. And a time of so certain things are going to happen every week at a certain time. And maybe give her a plus a little bit because some of us like to talk a little.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. And there's a dance break in the middle. So.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. But this is trying to get us back on a little bit more of a rigid structure so that you know what to expect and when to expect the type of thing. But with that being said, the next item is we're going to talk about a move for Scotch for Dummies we've talked about it. I think it's not going to be that much of a surprise, but we kind of are being pulled towards it because we're stateside, right? It's pretty hard to get a bottle of Scotch in your name or a cask of whiskey. And so we're going to start really diving into this thing called American Single Malt.
American Single Malt.
I also think it's a good thing for us to get into because we've been exposed to some of it recently, and a lot of it is really good,
Very good.
actually.
Well,
Very good.
And I would say that, it is the creativity of America that allows that single malt to really grow. Bourbons are so restrictive on their barreling and their grain bill and all those kind of things, and their finishing, and to get straight bourbon and all those kind of things, it's very restrictive. But there's a million bourbons out there. But if you say American Single Malt, well, the restrictions are much lighter.
True.
For now.
The only thing is grain. Well, no. I mean, essentially, and Dr. Scotch will come later and talk kind of about the details.
Oh,
of
that guy's coming by.
He's going to come by.
Nice.
Scotch is coming back,
in
y'all.
a while.
But so the thing with that is, it's much less restrictive with respect to barrel finishing and bottle finishing and what you do to the grain and all those kind of things. So maybe there's some real creativity. Now, admittedly, with creativity comes some really big dogs.
Yeah.
So you gotta. That's part of our process is to help clear out the wheat from the chaff and give you a better direction on what kind of American single malts maybe you need to buy.
I noticed when I was, because I've been reading up and looking to buy some bottles, and I bought some bottles today, and I've bought some other bottles previously, but the things that I've kind of noticed as a broad category, I see a lot of people that are just going out and buying their malted barley from Scotland. You know, it's
Right.
already peated or,
Right.
you know, taken care of in
Yep.
some fashion, and they're just bringing it over and they're doing the distillation over here, right? But to me, part of the whiskey making experience is, you know, it's more of a local
It is.
kind of thing to me, especially if you've got a craft distillery. Why aren't you but then there's a lot of other people that are like, oh, well, we raised this on our farm, and, you know, my kid harvested the grain, and, you know, we're distilling this ourselves. So I think that there's a wide variety for us to explore, and I feel like there's a lot of people doing some experimental stuff with like weird caskings or smoking with different kinds of smoke. I've seen mesquite smoke at 3 different distilleries now.
Yep.
So, which is a very American thing. And so I think that it'll be interesting as we go through some of these to discover what makes it uniquely American about these single malts.
Yeah, I agree.
And honestly, it's a fairly logical step, or the next closest thing we can get to Scotch, right? So, I mean, going from Scotch to bourbon or rye is actually a pretty big step, but I'm hoping that the step from Scotch to American single malt isn't quite as shocking to me.
Honestly, the ones that I've had are, if I didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't know.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. And right now, to me, this is rewind 7 years ago. Honestly, when we were walking in the liquor stores going, eeny, meeny, miny, go. Look what I bought today, guys. What the hell is that? Oogadale. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Oogadale.
This stuff is horrible.
Right.
We did what?
Right.
Uga what?
So I honestly picked up a bottle of Stranahan's, was it Blue Peak, I think it's called?
Yep.
And we're going to get into a review on it. We've got the SMWS came out with an American single malt. Sean's got a couple bottles en route. So I'm excited because it's a whole new learning process. Now, to say that, we're not getting away from Scotch. We're not forgetting that. But I think you can expect our single malt, American single malt reviews to be very similar to what our Scotch reviews for
Sure.
have been
I mean,
like.
it's gonna be the same style, same pattern, same design. Yeah.
So is this going to be single malt for dummies?
Oh, no.
no, because we're gonna do some scotches too. Because that's the other part of that.
And we haven't given too much discussion amongst us on how we're going to score said American single malts. I got to be honest with you. It will be difficult to not compare them to scotches because that's my palate. I think, but at the same token, I don't want to do that. I don't know if that's fair. I think we got to stay biased or subjective to just whiskey.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. Do we score them on our typical Scotch for Dummies 4 scale? Or?
Is it 1 to 4 Eagles?
Well,
I love it. I love it.
That has real
I don't know what to
potential.
say about that, honestly. That's kind of like 4 Eagles.
Maybe should we go to the 80 to 100 scale?
Are those
Case-
raw or
those are
rare
case?
Eagles?
Exactly.
The interesting thing about this to me is it kind of reminds me back to our roots 7 years ago, right? It's the same idea to me. It's like obviously we have been educated somewhat in the liquor, whiskey, whatever you want to call it, industry. But American single malts, I think, for the most part, are fairly new in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a marca. And it's basically doing the same process philosophy of what Scotland is. It's obviously in America. But so the difference is really obviously, same grains, all kinds of barley, fun stuff. And some of them are actually starting to create their own peat, right? Here, or they're outsourcing it.
Smoke their own, yeah.
But bigger land, bigger diversity, bigger areas
Temperature.
of taste, perhaps.
Well, and different climate, so different strains of barley that they're using.
Exactly.
And then just honestly, I was intrigued by the number of different casks and types that they were using. And it seems like a lot of these distilleries are not afraid to take 3 or 4 or 5 different casks and age part of it in each one and then marry them together. So you end up with this, amalgam of different flavors. And so I mean, I think that they're doing interesting stuff, but I agree with you. I'm very curious. Just because you put more ingredients in a cake doesn't mean the cake's good.
Well, and there's a thing called peachwood that we've had very bad experiences with.
And again, but you don't know what you don't know, right? So you swing and you miss sometimes, and I think that there'll be some of that out there. Yeah. But I'm also interested to see the mesquite smoked whiskey that we've had already was really good, and it was very unique because of that mesquite, I think. So
the smokiness. So this is the Kilkeegan that we had tasted a couple of times last year. That it had this smokiness to it that was very reminiscent of a peated whiskey, but not off, but just different. It had something else with it, and we couldn't pick it out until we read the description later. And it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense now. Yeah.
So I think that there'll be a lot of that too. That's just unique flavors that we haven't experienced before.
I mean, that's one thing about the American single malt is that there's no tradition. So with Scotch, there's such a huge tradition, hundreds of years of tradition in Scotch whiskey. But American single malt, brand new.
And there's definitely not the restrictions. They're in the process of trying to get standards put down for American single malt.
And from going forward, I would say that any tastings we do should be whiskey that meets the proposed standards, because I think those are I guess we can talk to when Dr. Scotch comes in and talk about when those kind of standards came through and what they are and those kind of things. So
I'm hoping that the vast majority of the American single malts that we get into are actually distilled at the distillery, where as opposed to the infamous Indiana MGP.
I don't know that you're going to see. I don't even know if MGP does that. I haven't actually researched that at all.
Do they do malt? Yeah.
Do they do it?
I don't know.
I mean, there's got to be something to it, though. I mean, to your point, it's like Scotland's been doing this for how long? I mean, there's some masters and some tricks and things. American single malts, it's kind of a new process.
It's an open book, man.
It is.
It's so
Wild West.
But again, I think that you're going to discover, when America started to really get into high-end wines, the reason that they turned out really well was because they were doing things completely different because they didn't know any better.
They were splicing, roots to grain stock.
So I think that you'll get some of that too, and it'll be interesting to see where American single malt is in 10 years.
Oh, it's going to be totally different business.
Yeah.
Sure. But it's exciting. I'm really excited to taste some.
Well, I was listening to an interview with the guy from Westland, right? Mm-hmm. Is that right? And that was one of the comments he made about is just how he was trying. They are trying really hard to give you a taste of that area and the flavors, right? They grow their own region, their own barley. Yeah. They're doing their own peat. So it's going to be, I mean, I feel like, eventually, this is almost like blasphemy, but it's almost like you're going to start having regions of Speyside and
California single
really
malts,
think
Texas
you
single
will.
malts, New England single malts.
Well, and I think
Florida
that you'll get
malts.
into, because a lot of the Oregon, Washington area, there's a lot of brewing tradition out there, and there's a lot of distilleries.
They know what they're doing, for
sure. So it'll be interesting to see how you get, like a Stranahan's is going to age very differently than like something like Balcones, right?
Absolutely.
Different climates, different regions, where are you getting your grains from? Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting what they do.
Yeah, in Oregon or Washington, it's going to be aged by year. In Texas, it's aged by month.
Right.
I mean, it's that
it's
much
so hot
different.
and humid.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you talk about the Balcones that are like, it's either 34, 36, or 42 months, and that's it. After that, it's done.
Well,
it's over oaked. It's terrible.
Right.
The finance guys are liking that one.
Yeah, for real. But it's going to give you a different flavor profile than something that can sit for 5 or 10 years in a cask and just chill there.
Well, and think about this way: you take a mash bill, a distillate character, all that from Oregon, and then you send it to Texas for a year, and you just
that's interesting.
It's still American single malt,
Yeah.
still
Yeah,
aged
that's
in America,
interesting.
but now you just like supercharge the aging process, and then you move it to Alaska, and let it just.
Well, yeah, that's true. Because if you think about
That's
Scotland,
kinda weird,
that does happen in Scotland,
Of
right?
course
So
it
where
does.
you have
Yeah,
a
of course it
distillery
does.
that has a dunnage house on the other side of the country, but even that's not that much of a climate difference, right?
Correct. But
I mean, you
here
might get
is-
a coastal influence, but a temperature difference, maybe 5 degrees because the warm Gulf Coast waters are coming up. But, you know, you go from Colorado down to Texas.
You put something in Key West. That'll cook.
It'll cook.
Or put something next to like Lake Superior and let that wind hit the Dunnage house for 4 or 5 or 6 years.
It's going to take that kind of time.
It's
Yeah.
but that kind of time and longer time for people to acknowledge it's going to take time and understanding there's because we know now there's like if I say Lowland or if I say Campbelltown, if I say Speyside, obviously is the easy one, right? But you guys are going to go, oh, flavor kind of for the most part, right? Not in America.
I think it'll be interesting as they integrate. You know, if you go to Oregon and you've got a distillery, of course you're going to use wine casks from Oregon to age some of that distillate in, right?
Of course.
And so I think that you might get some cross-pollination of those kinds of things. So, I mean, regional flavors might evolve just because of those kinds of situations.
Zach
so
wants
it'll be
us to
interesting.
grab the Maltzilla. That doesn't need to be grabbed, Zach. We got it. I'm sure that one will be in the review cycle.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Don't worry. I think it's like 85% ABV.
I'm going to take a
or something.
gamble and restart just the stream deck and see if that does anything.
Yeah.
You think? Drew's going out on a limb.
I wish I could restart the OBS, but I can't because
it'll kill the stream.
We can restart the stream.
It'll be a new stream.
We don't want to do that. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna finish it out. You know what? We're gonna finish strong.
So if you need to, just go ahead and turn off the video, put on your headphones.
I mean, hopefully the audio sounds really good.
The video is.
It sucks because I got nice. Look at this. I got little cameras for close-ups, and you know.
Oh, you did awesome.
Yeah,
We
got the bottle.
We even got a little bottle cam over there.
We've got the gear. We just need it's a Solbera cask.
Yeah. Well,
Solbera
first year, brand new set. It's going to have some learning curve, so ignore us. But
right.
hopefully, it sounds good.
It worked great until we went live.
That's right.
It always does.
Boy, how 7 years of that story, guys.
I mean, how many times
perfect.
have we done this? Like, you guys are even worried because it's like, oh yeah,
Whatever, man. It's fine.
Well,
I bet the sound sounds awesome. Is this the ASMR?
These are the NPR mics.
Don't do it.
Don't
We're
do
going
that.
to.
That's not.
And now, next on NPR is the people that.
But pull up the agenda. I want to see where we are and make sure we're not overgoing our time limit on this guy.
It may be
pretty good,
time
actually.
to call
Yeah,
Dr. Scotch
I think
in.
Now
or-
we got a couple more minutes
right.
to finish up on American single malts. I mean, so I kind of already alluded to a few bottles that we have. You said you've got a couple.
I've got a
Maybe we
few,
have.
and mainly I was trying to. I don't want to give it away because we're going to do reviews on these bottles, but I will say that I was trying to get a breadth of flavors, right? Like, because I don't want to just get like a kind of a generic single malt. I want to get something that's got some uniqueness to it,
Right.
And not necessarily a hard to find bottle, just something that's got like something that I feel is uniquely American or something I haven't seen come out of Scotland before, and something that I thought that the distillers obviously spent some time thinking about experimenting with something. And I just kind of want to try it to see if they got it right or not.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
and kind of get an idea of where single malts might be headed.
Yeah, it
based
would
on
be interesting.
that.
So if any of you know a single malt distiller around you, American single malt distiller, that we can get one of their entry level whiskeys and one of their like signature whiskeys, you know, kind of higher end new make. Well, and that new make would
That'd be
be
great.
really
That'd be
interesting.
awesome to know
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, because you can never get unless you go to Scotland, you can never get Scottish new make. So that'd be really
neat.
interesting to try.
You
See where they come
can,
from and-
because we have, but
You got to know people.
It's
and you gotta
hard.
go there. But so that's the key is, you know, we're gonna. I think I'm really interested in their kind of the entry level American single malts because they're more affordable typically, as long as they're good. And if we can't get good basic American single malts, then I'm not as interested. If I have to pay $120 to get a decent single malt American single malt, then I'm like, I can get a really nice Scotch for $120. So why would I, pay for a 4-year-old American single malt? Now, if the quality's good, we'll address that in a review. But I'm thinking American single malt should be less expensive.
here's the other thing that I'm thinking about is some of that is just the cost of getting a new industry up and on its feet, right? So Scotland already has a whole market based around producing single malt whiskey. So the farmers are already involved with the grain merchants, and those grain merchants are selling to malting houses, and the distilleries know how to get, the supplies that they need. And I think for American single malt, and that was the other thing I was kind of taking into consideration, because a lot of them are, 70, 80, 100, 150.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Like they're a little more expensive. But I want to say that as production goes up and as more people get into it, the cost of those bottles, I think, will become more in line.
Yeah, because American single malts now are kind of a premium brand.
Well, and it's a lot of like
brand.
bourbon distilleries that are doing a single malt.
Dabbling,
Yeah,
they're
right,
dabbling in
They
single
don't,
malt.
they don't know what they're doing yet.
Right.
So, but the interesting thing too is timing. I think timing is interesting because even us, but I mean, the fact that Scotch itself, brown liquor itself was huge, right? It's bursting. It's still pretty powerful, right? But I feel like it's coming down a little bit, and the American single malt has a really big opportunity here to come right out of the clouds and say, hey, you know what? This is like the best of both worlds almost.
Yeah.
I think there's a really good opportunity for us. That's what I'm most excited about too, is you and I were talking pre-show about that Stranahan's, and we were like, why don't they use it in their ex-bourbon barrels? Well,
They don't.
we didn't know that, but they don't make them. So one of the cool things that we did when we first started, guys, right, is you get a bottle. It's your point to figure out what it's on, and we'd share the information, and that started the journey. And so I'm excited to learn again about different American single malts and their distilleries and what's going on. What else do they do? What's the vast? And then how does that correlate to other distilleries and things?
Well, and honestly, starting 7 years ago, one of the things was to help everybody on that side of the camera make better purchases and wise, decisions on the shelf.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. Seriously, I bought that Stranahan's. I was in the liquor store. I walked around. There wasn't many American single malts to choose from at all. And I'm like, I've heard of Stranahan's. This is coming.
I
home.
have too.
You
But
know?
that's a good question.
Don't know anything about it.
Do you guys foresee, and I'll throw it to all you guys, do you think that, hopefully I'm right in prediction, but there's not a whole lot of American single malts on the shelves, right? I've not seen a lot.
they're hard to find.
Not mass produced. And I think that that's where we're at with the American single malt category, is that all of these distilleries are kind of dabbling in it to see if there's a market for it and to see what the production quality is going to be. Like, do I make a good
Reusability.
product with this, or, do I have a market, and how easy is it?
Sure.
And if it's not very easy, if they can't get the grain to make the whiskey, or they have a hard time sourcing the products that they need, then I think it remains high, and it remains difficult to find. And if there's a market that opens up for it, well, money solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, I know there's a regional distillery in Indiana that has done some single malts, and the few they bottled didn't sell. So it's not their market. If they do a single malt, it's like with a leftover barley they had to get for their other mash bills. It's not a focus. It's not a design.
No.
There's no money in it for them right now. And some of the barrels we've tasted maybe aren't where we need them to be. So it's just a matter of practice, and it's a matter of experience.
Learning.
So if you're making bourbon, so you're making this sweet grain whiskey, and then you're putting it in barrels, and you're adding the tannins of the fresh new oak and all that kind of stuff, and then you take a single malt whiskey and you put it in that same barrel. It's like, ugh, it doesn't work as well.
We may all think it's easy from
I
where we
don't
sit and
doubt
enjoy
it's-
it, but it's not.
I don't think it's easy at all.
I don't either.
Especially when you're really good at making bourbon and you change the mash bill completely.
Well, here's what it's
lot of
going to
gambles.
take.
A lot of gambles.
Different game.
It's going to take early adopters, like anything else, right? There's going to have to be at least a group of early adopters that's paying a premium price for that product to encourage that market to grow to a point where
Exactly.
it's profitable for the people producing that product, so that they're like, hey, you know what? We can go ahead and, instead of doing one cask of this, let's do 20 of these, and let's make it an annual thing, or let's just keep it on the shelves all the time.
Those early adopters hopefully will be rewarded for being there, having the name
Early
out
investors.
there, right, if you will. But you never know. I agree with you, Drew, in thinking that this is American single
I
malt
think so,
is
man.
definitely poised to make a A leap?
Yeah, well, so we need to get some from Stranahan, some Westland, and from Balcones on the show to talk through their
I don't
strategy.
even know all the
of why-
major players other than those. I mean,
You know, I wanted to put it out there. I think one of the ideas I had about trying to find these bottles and ideas, you're searching online, reaching out. I'm looking at just shelves in the liquor stores here. But I would like to spin up a form on the website that if someone's got a particular single malt, American single malt that they want us to get into, fill out the form. It
That's a
sends
good
us an
idea.
email, and then that way we know to go look for this thing. We know to find it. Or, you know, I mean, yeah, if they want to send us a bottle, great. But that's not expected. It's
about
just
talk about
it's
them.
about learning about knowing them. I don't even know what exists to go get, right? So, you know, speak up. I know there's been a lot of comments. Drew's got the comments turned off right now. There's been a lot of people that have mentioned, so I have to go back in those comments and try to grab those bottles to figure out. But we're going to be on the hunt for getting those. But we talked a little bit about Wild West, American single malts. You know, what defines an American single malt? What makes it different from a bourbon, a rye, a Scotch? So you'd said this doc is coming
I think
around.
Dr. Scotch might know that.
Let's
So
get
maybe if
that
I
guy
go
on.
find
You
Dr.
need to go
Scotch,
find Dr.
We'll see what
Scotch.
we can do
Come
that.
on.
They call me Dr. Scott. They call me Dr.
Oh,
there we go.
There it is.
Wrong button.
Hey guys,
Takes
Dr.
the
Scotch
doc
here.
a long time to
Dr.
get dressed.
Scott.
Yeah, he was like upstairs or something. It's really
Happy
weird.
New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. What's going on? I heard
See you.
you guys are talking about American single malts.
Yeah, I don't
We
know anything
are.
about it.
Oh man, you know, there's been a lot of discussion in the last couple of years about American single malts. I happen to have some notes back here. Let me see if I can find it.
Of
Just
course
happened to
he
be
does.
right there.
Yeah, what do you know? It's so weird. It's like I didn't done my research or something, so you don't have to. So American single malts definition. Up until about a year ago, it's basically, what do you want to call it? Well, there's no real criteria. If it was greater than 51% grain, 51% of the grain was malt, some people got away with calling that a single malt.
So
Close
almost.
enough.
Hold on, what?
So using the rules of bourbon, basically.
That sounds
Yeah,
like bourbon
so
and
if-
corn. I think.
So if you're greater than 51% malt, you could call yourself a American single malt.
So you could make a bourbon, but throw an extra handful of barley in there and get away with it, huh?
it's like this,
All right.
throw that
You
crap
switch
in
from
there and
51% corn to 51% malt, then you're done.
Okay, well,
But there is an organization that is the American Single Malt Whiskey Commission.
okay.
They came up with proposed rules for for American single malt, and these actually were adopted by the I forget the board, but it is now incorporated into 27 CFR Part 5. So that's the Code of Federal Registration.
Okay.
This is it's actually a federal code now. Part 5, paragraph 5.143.
Don't you
Okay.
love our codes?
Oh,
and
yeah.
laws?
Okay,
So
that
it's in the Code of Federal Registration in the U.S. Part 27, Part 5. So the way American single malt is going to be defined is, number one, it's got to be made from 100% malted barley. No corn, no rye, no rice, no whatever other grain you want to put in there. It's got to be 100% malted barley. Not even
Well, that's good.
Not even malted barley plus regular barley, unmalted barley. It's got to be all malted. So if it's going to be an American single malt, all malted barley.
Okay.
So that's
All
the
right.
grain bill. So that does create some restriction with the flavor profile that you can create in your single malt, but that's okay.
Coming from the Scotch world, that's my expectation.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So a lot of these align with the Scotch Whisky Association's numbers. So number one, malted barley produced in one distillery, mashed, distilled, and matured in the USA.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Does
Fair
that include
enough.
territories? Puerto Rico?
Probably.
I would think so.
Guam.
America.
I don't know. That could be a really interesting caveat there, but it says
It could be an Isle of Skye.
Is that America?
No, but I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it.
yeah. Is there the Key West?
I got one.
So, no, he's
There
got
you
it. Matured in 700 liter or smaller oak casks.
Okay.
700 liter or smaller oak.
So, but the
cask.
700 liter least size allows you to do finishing in large
Solera
wine and
or some
Soleras
butts.
and butts. Right. At least it opens the door to all those.
Sure.
There's no restriction on charring. There's no restriction on new or used. There's
Okay.
none of that.
I'm fine
Yeah.
with that.
As long as you're using barley, that's the main
Barley
thing we're looking for.
in oak casks.
Okay.
Okay. So
American oak.
it doesn't say that.
Okay. Okay.
So the question is, you can't use peach wood then, right?
Correct.
That's
All right.
fine with
So
me.
distilled to no more than 160 proof or 80% alcohol by volume. So this is an interesting perspective. If you use, so that is very similar to what, tentatively what Scotch requires. So Scotch requires for single malt whiskey to be pot stilled,
Okay.
whereas a Scotch whiskey can be up to 94% ABV or 94% alcohol. So that's the distillate columns and things like
Right.
that. So it's very difficult to get. Essentially it's impossible to get to 95% alcohol from a pot still
Okay.
because you have to keep pot stilling it to get to that. Where the column can strip out all that and
Okay.
do that. So it while it doesn't say the American legislation does not require a pot still, if you can only distill no more than 160 proof, it's going to be a short column or a pot still. So that's kind of an interesting caveat that they've allowed. there.
Interesting. Okay.
And then bottle it no more at no less than 80 proof, which most whiskey is that way.
So
Yeah,
so they're really
40
trying to keep
ABV.
it as a craft whiskey. Then is that kind of why that restriction would be on
I
there?
don't know. I mean, it prevents you from stripping the whiskey down to just pure ethanol. Because 160 proof, there's a lot of water in there. I mean, that's only 20% water and other impurities in there. So it prevents you from just really stripping it down to pure grain alcohol and then putting it in a barrel.
My thought though is that a pot still is a little more labor intensive and a little bit long, whereas you can run a column still day and night,
right.
forever.
You can run a column still and pull off 160 proof all day long. So you just pull at a different plate. Yeah. So
Exactly. But to
you can do
get that on a pot still, you're going to have to redistill it enough times that the cops might catch you by the time you get there.
But
That's true.
But that's a maximum, right? You can distill it less.
Sure.
Okay.
And with a wash still and a spirit still, you're in that range, but you can run a column at 160 proof. The key that it requires though is that you're pulling a lot of that water and flavorings back out of the still, and you can't go any more than that. So
Okay.
that's
fine.
Interesting. Is you're going to get more character in
Yeah.
your whiskey that way, which I think is good.
So what you've just read though is just it's a code, but there is actually a movement, if you will, that is trying to set There's an organization out there that consists of different distillers, master distillers, and people in the industry that are trying to set more standards and control the American single malt definition and industry.
Yeah, and
True?
it's the American Single Malt Whiskey Commission that set these limits to give to the federal code
Okay.
agency. So the American Single Malt Whiskey Commission set these rules, and then did the process to get them put into the code.
And that was dated. Do you know when that?
The last information I saw was February 9th. I think they closed comments. So essentially it's done. I mean, there's
of 22?
of 22. Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially the code is complete. There's no more changes to it. Now the couple of things that are different from American Single Malt and Scotch whiskey is that in American Single Malt, there is no restriction on coloring or flavoring.
So we could have a peach American single malt or like vanilla, or
There's no restriction on it.
So they can add
Cinnamon?
They can
That
they can
doesn't sound
add
good.
flavoring.
There's no restriction.
That doesn't sound good at all.
man,
You're
that's-
right.
that's
You're
gotta
right.
change.
So that's one thing that
That's not right.
that Scotch whiskey does not allow flavoring. But some would argue that the flavoring thing is maybe not as.
you don't want cinnamon Lafroig?
No.
Fireball Laforig.
No, I don't. Hi, Lana.
Yeah.
I don't. I if you can get it by the way they make it now, if you can get that flavor in there by just the distillation and maturation and finish, I'm fine with it. Good for you.
Yeah, but remember, there's this American whiskey called, what was it? What was a Fireball before it became Fireball?
McGillicuddy's.
McGillicuddy's, where they sold nothing.
They still have, McGillicuddy's still has like blackberry and a couple other flavors.
Oh, really?
They didn't sell anything.
And Fireball now is $1 billion.
The number
drink.
one.
A single whiskey is $1 billion.
That
There's a little bit of
Jägermeister.
incentive to
Used
maybe
by
make-
funeral homes and crematories across the world.
I mean,
You could make a
The wrong-legged bull.
a cinnamon American single malt.
you can open up a lot of craft distilleries for $1 billion.
Slightly.
So that's the key. There's no restriction that you could technically make a straight American single malt whiskey, which the straight requirements are a new charred oak, aged not less than 2 years. So you could make a straight American single malt whiskey.
Can you make a bonded?
Sure.
Because it would just be
Because the
aged in the government warehouse, right?
The
At
other
50?
thing about American single malt, there is no minimum age.
So there still
Well, that
are
makes
some
sense.
rules that,
Yeah.
that need to be put in place. It's obviously still young and a little bit
Well, the thing
loosey-goosey.
is, why would you require it to be less than or over 3 years? So Scotch whiskey requires at
3
least
years
3
minimum.
But if you're in Texas, I don't need 3 years.
Well, it's like India. I mean,
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yep.
it's the climate is too. I mean, you're. Let's look at it seriously. Weather in Scotland. When is it ever going to be like anything
It's not
dry
gonna be hot.
heat? It's
Yeah.
never. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other than
If
the
you're-
3 years is like a slap to say, let's play for everybody.
Yeah.
We need at least 3 years for everybody
Let's not
to-
just crank this.
Right.
Well, no, don't send out new make.
Like we were talking about, there's such a different climate. There's so many different climates in the United States. So, a whiskey that's aging in El Paso, Texas or Phoenix is going to age remarkably different from something that's in like Minneapolis or, Idaho or Oregon or Maine.
Yeah.
So it'll be
agree.
interesting to see.
I think the age restriction is not required.
No, but it's such a vast difference that it'll be interesting to see as distilleries pop up. They're going to do it differently in different regions. They're going to have to. So that'll be interesting to watch, actually.
Yeah. Obviously, there's things that are still in the making, right? It's still being molded a wee bit, and dust hasn't settled. You said 22 February. So, look, man, it's not even been a year since these were added.
We're set up. If you there was some time. I think 2018 was when they first proposed them. So there may be some whiskey out there, but that is truly American single malt. And I think Balcones and I think Stranahan's technically meet the requirements before they needed to. So that's cool. But
So now that it's codified, will there be something on the bottle, kind of like bottled in bond, or bourbon
that
or
is the
straight
intent.
whiskey or something? They'll be able to label that.
That's the reason the tobacco tariff board or whatever it was set those limits, because that way then you can officially label it.
Okay.
Nice.
But I think there's other stuff that you guys need to talk about.
We
so
do.
I'm
Probably.
gonna let you
First
guys
and
go.
foremost, man, happy freaking New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, Dr. Scotch.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers to you, buddy.
Drinking peated whiskey in honor of, Andrew.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I like that stuff too. Cheers, all.
Cheers.
They call me Dr. Scott. They call me Dr.
Right?
That is like the best picture possible of Andrew up there. It's like
Oh, my gosh.
he really sells
As
it.
I recall,
Guys, what's going on?
Dr. Scotch
He
wasn't
was- he was-
enthusiastic
just
about
missed
coming on in this
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Man, I'm feeling much better now.
Yeah,
Good
Dr.
for you.
Scotch is good for lives, but not so much. Anyway, Scotch in the news.
Scotch in the news.
Oh, what's going on?
What's going on with the?
We don't have a trailer or some kind of lead-in
No,
for that?
not tonight. I'm stressing too much. The 6 best Isla whiskeys of 2020. This is all your stuff.
So, yeah,
What?
I found a couple articles, and they were going to span across.
Before we start this,
How much did they pay?
who picked these?
Wait, it's Forbes.
We'll get there. Hold on.
so Forbes,
It wasn't-
Forbes paid
The
or-
first 2 articles are kind of looking back, best of 2022 type
Sure,
stuff,
sure.
and then the other articles are looking forward a little bit. So I thought,
All right.
I know we are already past the new year, but
more 21.
this is interesting because it's Isla whiskeys, and I thought
like
you
it.
might want to see what these guys got to say. So it's Forbes,
2022.
right?
So, okay.
Okay, Lafroy Kirchhoff.
Is that what we have right there?
No.
No.
This is
2022.
this is the triple wood, not the
Gotcha.
warehouse.
Gotcha. We have
It's
not
still
had that
delicious.
one.
It's
we
this
have.
is still delicious, right? Okay,
All right,
so
so
fair
that's the
enough.
number one.
All right.
No. These are the top 6.
Top 6, gotcha.
They're just like
I don't think they're numbered like that, right?
I hate all these ads. So
Right.
this is the one. So we were talking on the pre-show. This is not what.
No, he was drinking Hardcore.
Okay, so yeah, Hypernova I've not had at all.
No, but I look at the
$3.50,
price
that's why,
tag on it,
yeah.
right? So it's part of their series, their Supernova series, and it's, it's 51% ABV. I think-
170.
170 ppm phenol.
I was just
Highest
going to say, it
phenol,
claims
yeah.
a lot
51.
of ppm.
And 51% ABV. Yeah, that's cool.
This one caught me off guard.
Ooh.
So interestingly
that
enough,
That's a beautiful
I've
bottle.
seen this bottle come across whiskey auctions a lot.
For less than that?
95.
You know what? Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right.
Man, 103.6%.
Now see that is, and it's still $3.90 for 12.
There is
No, that's not the
No
12. That's not the
way.
typical 12. That's
I
the
know,
special
but
release.
still.
It's still a 12-year-old
So
whiskey.
I've got the year before. I've got the
Jeez.
21. It's got the lion on it instead of the phoenix, but
It's a pretty high price tag for a 12-year-old
is.
whiskey.
They like it better than I do. I'm not
Yeah, it's-
paying that
it's
kind of
called
money for
Diageo.
that,
so
man.
it's good
There's
to see
no way.
Kilhoman in there, though, right?
Yep.
Seriously, I mean,
No, you're
to
right.
me, Kilhoman's the little man
They're-
on the
yeah.
island.
They're
Yep.
Island
They're
Island,
they're
yeah.
the undercard of the Islas. I feel like that some people may beg to differ, but they don't get as much love.
Well,
No.
because they don't have this huge marketing
They don't
arm.
Diageo.
Yeah,
They don't
they're
have
not
to,
Diageo.
they're their own maker, right?
But
That's
they
it.
produce some excellent.
Yeah, I
excellent
mean, hardworking.
That's what I
Their
see.
Isla barley is normally
Well, that's what I see
Solid.
American single malts could become. Is
Yep.
I
Kilhoman has this great,
Lessons
it's
to
a
be learned.
craft
yeah.
distillery.
Yeah.
Right.
essentially, yeah, you're right.
Black art. Well, who would have figured
So
black art would be on there?
29-year-old for 414 is not a bad price. And the last black art that I can really remember getting into, guys, was I think 5.1.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I will.
What did
It's been a
the guy
minute.
from Amar? What's it?
Yeah,
What's
we
he
had
brought?
that one.
It was. I
Brought
think it was
the
a
black
7
art.
or something.
No,
wasn't
it was-
It was like a 10.
Oh yeah,
It might have been 10-1.
I got to tell you, listen, I'm
really
not
good.
I'm not trying to diss the whole black art thing, but I've had
I will.
various, and not a damn one has come close to a high price tag for me. They're good, but $400, no
I've had a
way.
lot of really nice higher end whiskeys.
No way.
That is one that I would never ever buy myself.
No,
I just wouldn't.
it's a great bottle.
I would try it at a bar right now. I
Yeah, see,
would.
the thing about the black
Bet you
art
it's
is
pretty good.
I've never
How
seen
much it
them.
lasts?
I've never seen them come together right. They do some incredible. They have some incredible barrels and caskings and things, but they've never. And you can generally taste each of those flavors in the whiskey, but it's not like it's married well.
Agreed.
That's
Yep.
what I've seen
It's
with
just
the black
it's
art.
just nothing special.
That one looks
to be
good.
honest.
Well,
The picture does.
but the
It does
color.
look good.
I mean, it looks good.
So what we got
And
now?
I mean, and it's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not bad
Oh,
whiskey.
no, no.
I'm just not spending $400 on it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but so it's 29 years old and it's $414, and the Lagavulin 12 was 12 years old and it was $50 cheaper.
Come on.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
Scotch whiskey is too crazy right now.
All right.
marketing is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's the problem.
this next one is the looking back, and it's the best. What was it? Blended.
No, let's go
Right,
back.
best.
Let's go back up.
Oh no,
sorry.
no! Best Scotch whiskeys under
Between 30 and 40 bucks.
40 bucks.
Which
So-
this
Old
is
par.
not surprising to
Monkey
me. honestly.
shoulder.
right.
Yeah.
I saw this and I was interested because a lot of these whiskeys
give us actually-
they
yeah.
came across
Now-
our fights last year.
It did. But Grangestone, we did this years ago, and I would tell you, if you go to any Total Wine anywhere, and this is like their like number
Half of their
one
whiskey.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind getting another one just to give it a fairness, but I don't
was
remember
not
anything
every-
special about it.
Every time we pick one of those bottles up, I'm like, did they mislabel this?
It
this
does-
shit, it's
yeah.
a 28-year-old
So,
whiskey.
Hang on. The only thing I
And
like
it's
about
like
Grangestone is you can't
$45.
see it in this picture here, but if you get a bottle of it or look at their tube, their logo looks like a stormtrooper. A stormtrooper.
It
helmet.
does. It does.
That's
that's
what I think about it. I'm like, at least they got that going for them.
Marketing does sell.
I'm not saying I bought it, Sean.
I mean, we did buy it. Don't get me wrong, but whatever, it's fine.
I never heard Molly, but I see DB. She did a super
Oh,
chat.
Thank
So
you. Thank you, Dave.
I gotta-
thank you
I
so
gotta
much,
pour-
Dr. Scotch.
That's
of the year.
fantastic.
Dr.
man.
Scotch appreciates that.
There it is. There's
I'll pull
Molly.
a Freud for Molly.
I love that. Absolutely.
It didn't come on top of it, but whatever.
That's because she's hidden. She should be at the very top, like that, right?
All right.
Oh, I see what you did there.
It's layered. All right.
Okay, so Grainstone, I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'm not as
that's
hyped
good.
on that one.
That cartridge is
But
funny.
there
Okay,
are
so
some-
what's the other ones? Real
There's some
quickly.
interesting things. So Buchanan.
Nothing surprising about
Nope,
that.
that's great.
That's
The only-
actually a really good bottle.
The only bad thing about that is the little pour
Damn
thing.
poor.
Well,
I knew
and
you were
thanks
gonna
to
say
Brazil for that.
But they actually make good whiskey. I
Right.
like them.
Black Label. You know what? I have not had that in a long
Black,
time.
Johnny Black in a bar on
I'm due
on
for
the
a black.
rocks.
I'm due for a
Man,
Black
it's
Label.
money.
It's good.
I'm not surprised.
Old Par.
We got
Can't
a bottle
beat
of
it.
that.
Yep, I got about right.
Monkey
Shoulder.
Hey, by the way, I was telling Mark about this. Did you know? And I don't know if this is fact, but we had a comment that
There's a rumor.
the Monkey Shoulder is not. So what's the 3? Do you remember the 3?
Balvenie,
Genevieve.
Glenkinchie.
Glenkinchie.
No, Glenfiddich, Balvenie, and Kinnevie.
Genevieve.
It's not the same. Kinnevie's out, and they won't say who
Did you
else
say
is in.
Balvenie fell out too?
I think Balvenie's out too. So I really don't know what they're blending as a single malts now.
Interesting.
So if you know, let us know. But
Interesting.
I'm curious to see if there's like an old. If we had maybe you have an old bottle somewhere.
Maybe not that old. I don't know.
I don't know. It depends on when they changed it.
Yeah.
No one knows.
I'm not surprised, as I told Drew.
They're gonna
Look,
run out.
the Monkey Shoulder went from 0 to hero
Oh, yeah.
overnight.
Well,
so
are
I
you
wouldn't be
gonna fill that?
surprised if Balvenie's like,
Yeah.
hey, we can't fulfill this crap anymore.
Every blend is like that too,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Like, I mean, they make a contract to buy so much booze from that distillery,
And that's cool.
When that contract ends, they
Well,
can renew it or they can't.
And,
You know?
So there's even the Chivas. How many different distilleries feed Chivas? And you think that
So
Chivas
many.
12 or 13 or whatever is going to be? And do you think Dewar's White is the same whiskey every year?
Well, it is not, because we've had older whiskeys from like the 70s
Yes.
that
Yes.
taste completely different.
Yep.
Very true.
We not had a 13. No idea.
No. But I bet it's decent.
Oh,
Of
no
course.
surprise.
No surprise at all.
Belongs
it won
there.
a week, I think,
Yep.
in King of the Hill.
Artist Blend.
OP12.
OP12. What?
That's
That's $39?
that
Oh,
should
that's
be
so
in everybody's
money.
bar.
It's not $39 here.
Yeah,
I wish it was
For
30.
anyway.
$39, it damn sure would be.
Now
on
this was
everybody's
surprising
bar.
to me, guys.
I'm not
a
in
big
agreement
fan
here.
of this, but
Well, I mean, I would drink that before the Grangestone.
yeah, okay,
Well, it's
Fair enough.
One.
fair enough.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh, my
Oh, look
God.
at that!
Yep.
Yeah, original.
Surprise.
That just makes me feel good,
Glenmoe original.
right?
Right? No
They don't
surprise.
play, man.
So do we know who made this ranking?
No,
It could have been
I don't know.
us.
It was Forbes. It was Forbes again.
This was a quick one, Mark.
Right. So I just want to point
Oh,
out,
brands
though.
report.
So
Okay,
this is the report on brands. It's got the best-selling brands of 2022, or for upcoming what they expect in 2023. It's from 2022 though, and then the trending brand.
Is that by brand or by value, by volume? What?
A dollar.
I think it's by volume.
The text
Okay.
is way too small on this site.
But I mean, if you read it, it honestly says Johnny Walker hit it hard.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
can't beat
people
Johnny
can
Walker.
get on this chat and in our comments and diss Johnny Walker until they're blue in the face. But I'm here to tell you, they're killing it, hitting it
can't
out
play
of the
with
park
So-
every day.
I saw a stat today that single malt Scotch whiskey accounts for 10% of volume
Yep.
That I believe that. I really do.
Volume of what?
of Scotch
of
whiskey.
Scotch
Of
whiskey.
Scotch
Okay,
whiskey.
thank you.
Single malt Scotch is 10% of
It's all
volume.
blends.
Everything else is blended malt, blended
blends.
Scotch, Scotch whiskey, whatever.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, not that long ago, there wasn't a single malt category.
Exactly.
It was all blended.
And except for the United States, nobody cares about single malt.
Right. And so to see Johnny Walker on top of that. Now, if you go back to just a hot second, Drew, and let's look at the trends, though. If you the trending ones are interesting. So
Where are they?
McKellen, no, right there. It's right there on the right. Top trending. So McKellen, okay. Not
Oh, right
surprised
here,
there. But to see Bruichladdich trending,
That's interesting.
Monkey Shoulder,
Naked.
and we saw that
Look
on
at
the
that
other
Naked
one.
Malt.
Naked,
Springbank.
right? I mean, so McKellen and Springbank, two of the most highly priced brands out there as far as single malts.
Well, it's interesting to me because a lot of these are bigger market share. Like Glenfiddich, not surprised. They make a lot of booze, right?
Right.
Yeah,
You
they do.
find them everywhere, but you don't see Springbanks,
No, you don't.
Yeah, this
And
is
it's
right?
trending.
Like that's an interesting one because they just don't have the volume, so they're just not in all the places.
the key
you
word
know?
here is selling. So it's marketing.
Well,
right?
okay, so but look at the bottom there on the bottom. How we did it. Annual Brands Report results are the culmination of a survey of 100 bars from 33 countries around the world, which have been nominated or won international awards. So these are the best bars in the world.
So this is the brands. Well, and I can tell you right now,
That's just skewed.
our bar,
Maybe.
I'll sell 5 bottles of Macallan for 1 bottle of everything else.
Yeah, this
Really?
has
Oh,
this,
God,
this
yeah.
smells of so many other variables. It's bullshit.
Macallan and Johnny Walker Black. I sell a ton
This
of
is-
that.
this is
what are
marketing.
the best-selling brands? Johnny Walker and Macallan.
No,
That's
of
exactly right.
course, but it's crap.
But it's what's selling. I mean, and so this is the key that's key to that is it was from the bars, and so
Sure.
this is what they are selling.
It's crap. It's factual.
Yeah.
Well,
It's skewed, right? It's a bad poll.
I guess it's a poll. It's a poll of bars. It's not a poll of liquor
Right.
stores. Essentially,
All right,
It's false truth. No,
It's false
so,
truth.
So the other two, there were
Fake
the
news.
two announcement type news. So Glendronach is now doing their 11th batch. I've got an
Holy
8. I know you killed an 8.
I killed an 8. I don't know. I had 11.
I may have a 9 or a 10, but the 11th one is now out, and it's interesting. I mean, the comment from Rachel Berry, I was like, okay, she actually suggests you put a couple drops on it to really open it up. But
ooh, it's 60%.
Pedro and Oloroso.
What's
too.
Bramble wine?
so
man.
an 11 year
Berry-
for
it's a berry wine.
$100, it's 60% ABV.
Spiced berry wine.
Interesting.
I mean, that's
I would
actually
buy it
not a bad price, honestly.
no doubt.
Yeah.
$100
I would buy it
for
'cause I-
60,
I
60%.
have faith
That
in
seems
Glendronach.
actually very fair.
59.8%.
There's no age on it though, right?
11. No,
Yeah,
no,
11-year-old.
no. It's batch
no,
11.
batch
You're
11.
right. Excuse me.
It's
well,
not
It's
age.
not an
good
11-year-old.
point, good
You're
point.
right.
But then again, it's Glendronach.
Right.
I bet
Yeah,
it's
you're right.
delicious. Although I wish it looked a little darker.
And so then we were talking about Johnny Walker, and we've been drinking some Johnny Walker Blue that
Yeah.
Drew poured out here. But
This
so
is
at the end of last year, Johnny Walker announced their new special bottling, which scroll back up.
If you haven't actually held one, they're really
so
cool.
They're
I've got a little bit of last year's bottle left on the bar, and I mean they're just beautiful because they're like hand painted. I mean they're really works of art.
Yeah.
The only difference is that I have to say, you were saying the phrase bullshit. It's still Johnny Walker Blue. There's
It's the same liquid.
This isn't the Ghost and Rare. This isn't. This is the same juice that's in this bottle, just the package.
Yep.
It's purdy.
Yep.
It is a beautiful.
It's very pretty.
artwork.
It is very
essentially,
pretty.
You're paying a premium for artwork.
Yep.
And I'll be the first to tell you, this is the first dram of Blue I've had in a long time, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yep,
There
it
was
was
notes
delicious.
on here that I just
Well,
caught me off guard.
And last year we put, when we were at the Chop House, we put the bottle of whatever year last year's was against a Ghost and Rare, and they're very different.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Those are different.
very
For sure.
different.
Yeah.
So if you're in the market for a blue and you've never experienced like a Ghost and Rare versus a regular bottling, it's very different.
Oh my god.
Look at that video.
girl
I
came
feel
on.
like we're
Oh
in a
look, she became a member.
disco.
This video is driving me crazy. Let's end the show on a good note.
All right. I'm going to pour a little
Well,
bit of this
I have to say I really like the setup.
It's different.
It's conducive to us all four talking together. I think it's going to be great.
So
good job.
I agree with that. I think the audio is a huge leg up. The video obviously is wacky right now. I have no idea why. But we got close-ups. We got some really. The video should be better because there's no focus issues, which is the number one issue. Because the reasons why we did this, guys, is because if you think about before in a bar setup, we've got 2 guys up front and 2 guys in the back, and the camera has a hard time focusing on both back and front. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything.
One giant leap.
It's not like I opened something. It's just
Anyway, this gets us all on one same plane, so
dark.
we should be good to go.
So you can look
Fair.
for this to come out on a podcast because with a great audio.
Maybe not
video.
this one, but
So one
The
thing I
audio's
did,
great on here though.
we did forget that I wanted to kind of mention about looking forward into 2023 here. We've heard some of our comments.
forgot giveaway.
We've heard, we wanted to do a giveaway. So Drew, now's your time.
I'll do it. Go.
But nobody can see what's going on. So
Yeah. So what are we giving away first, so they know what's going on?
Wow. So I just poured that Lafroig Cartridge in. It's very different than blue.
yes,
It may not
yes,
even
it
work.
is.
Well, this looks familiar.
Are you doing this, Drew?
I don't know. There it goes. Yeah, it just started. Look at that. It worked.
Oh, baby, son of a bitch.
We got some
Tasting kits.
some bottles, some sample bottles from Beverage. It's the World Whiskey and the
This is the World Whiskey Tasting Kits, and you got the American Single Malt.
American Single Malts, right?
Yep. So I've got one that's unopened from American Single Malt that we can give away.
Okay, so we're gonna give away
Oh, some unopened ones?
some
Yeah, we're not giving
unopened
away
bottles
open
here
ones. That's
from
fine.
Beverage, which, by the way, is a very cool thing. If you've not done it yet, it's a really cool package to buy. We had a lot of fun with this one this year.
So we're going to give away bottle number 5 from the, I don't know if this is the World
That's the
Whiskey,
American Single Malt.
American Single Malt. Sweet. There'll be details on it when we send it via OWL. But while we're doing the giveaway, so can they already
They're
sign
doing
up?
it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
as you guys
they
sign
know
up,
what they're doing.
Experienced rafflers
They
right
do,
there,
right?
man.
There you go.
Tell them they know the raffle.
moving into 2023, we heard some of our comments from our patrons about missing the old format, what we used to do, right? I mean, which was literally get together, and it got to the point where it was heavy. It was kind of painful. We're like, oh, man, we got reviews to do. But we're going to go back and start re-reviewing some of our old reviews.
That's gonna be
so
fun.
we got 6 to 7 years
Wow.
of reviews to pick from, of bottles to pick from.
Are there going to be clips from the old ones?
Maybe we can make it fun. Here's the catch, though, everyone. They're going to be blind, and that will give you the opportunity to not only see maybe our palate growth and change, and/or if our scores are the same when we don't
That
know
would be
what
interesting.
the whiskey is.
I will say we have a track record
We
of
do.
being remarkably similar when we
We
re-review
are really kind of
bottles.
close. You're right.
So how it will go is we're just going to go round robin on the dummy who gets to pick the blind. So if I'm the first one to go, I'm going to go back through our 7 years of history, and I'm going to find a bottle that I'm interested in. I'm going to acquire it. I'm going to show up on a day for us to review. They won't know what we're reviewing. We're going to go through and do it just the way we've always done it. Of course, you'll know once it gets published because Drew will have, the cat will be out of the
It'll be
bag and he
released.
can make a thumbnail.
Thumbnail will be up there.
The good news is, the fun part about it is we won't know what it is.
Are
while
they
we're
going to
reviewing.
get to watch us open the Macallan 6, or is that
That's going to be an expensive review.
You're in charge of that one.
Yeah,
You got to
acquire the
get some
bottle.
marketing
Oof, man.
deal on that one.
Oof.
That was
scored the
that was
first
a good
one.
You
Yeah,
scored.
I mean, it's only like 250 different bottles we have to choose
I
from.
actually, I know exactly which one I'm going to pick right now.
See, that's
Wow.
so it's fun for that, and also the American Single Malt because it's a learning experience. So
Yeah.
all of those are going to bring back some fun times for us this year. So look forward to some re-reviews, some new reviews,
Time's out.
and a live show. What?
Streamlabs has timed us out.
It
No
did?
longer enter the raffle.
Oh, 3 minutes. That's it.
All right, let's do this.
Let's see who the winner is.
So
Pick
we
a
have
winner.
one bottle that we're giving away.
Bottle number 5.
Bottle number 5 is a Balcones
Wow, we didn't open that?
American Single Malt. No, it is not opened.
Well, that's
Wow.
And guess who wins that one?
it. Better not be.
It's Chad
Zach.
Anderson.
Oh, Chad Anderson.
Chad Anderson.
There we go.
Can we
Nice.
sneak this one past the Canadian authorities?
Like a hockey puck, man.
Like a hockey puck. Oh, wow.
So Mystery Girl gave us extra data. There's 265 bottles to re-review. So we can get
Oh
that.
my
we
gosh.
should be able to knock that out.
Are you
in a
serious? That's some serious data right there.
My liver just freaking
We got- well,
flinched.
Kind of flinched inside myself.
I mean,
like,
I think that we should maybe put some parameters on that. So we should talk
we'll
after
come
the
back
show.
with you on that.
Right.
One, but
We can do that.
congratulations, Chad.
Yeah, Chad, be on the lookout. So it'll be coming in this. Well, we can actually send you some of the material with it if you want, if you're interested
I'll
in
go
it.
with
But congratulations. Everyone, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm super excited about the potential and what we've got on the docket for this year. Yeah, we got to figure out a video issue. All right, we'll get it figured
We'll
out.
figure it
I'm
out.
not worried about
Learning
that.
Curve. But
Thank you to the super chats tonight. That was
That was
Matt.
unexpected.
Right.
Yeah, I think we should
Mal,
like and subscribe too if you're interested. Hit the likes on those because those
check out the
help.
podcast. Although if you watch the video, maybe you don't need to because
I listen to the podcast.
I
Silky smooth voices, man.
Oh yeah.
Well,
A thought for
better
your
now.
thoughts.
I got nothing to say to that.
Got a face
With
for
that being
radio.
Thank you for joining. I have
lot of Black
absolutely no
Dynamites out
idea
there.
how many people we had on tonight, but I'm excited. I'm
times.
glad we took some time off, guys. But let's get back
But,
in the
yeah.
saddle and have some fun with this.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody. Happy New Year.
3, 2, 1.
Here we